we have uncovered many important structures that prove this temple during the time of Queen Cleopatra. So this could be the perfect place for Cleopatra's lost tomb.
We can solve the mystery beyond doubt of who this skeleton actually is. None other than Cleopatra's sister, Arsinoe, Egyptian rebel, Queen of Egypt.
A Dominican lawyer turned archaeologist has finally found a mile-long tunnel that might lead to the queen, but the DNA evidence already found nearby is absolutely wild. We always imagined a perfect queen, but the science points to a woman who was a product of a family tree that never branched out. The crazy part is that her physical appearance was likely a mask designed to hide a very scary reality. You will not believe what was found in the mouths of her closest followers. It turns out that her life was a desperate struggle to stay alive and powerful. The underground path to a hidden world. Nobody ever came to these ancient sites with a clear idea of what they were searching for, because the truth was buried too deep for any regular map. We have always been told she was the most beautiful woman in history, but new DNA analysis and forensic reconstruction suggest a terrifying alternative. The last pharaoh might not have been a beauty queen at all. Instead, she may have been a genetic time bomb. The DNA of Cleopatra has finally been analyzed, and what it revealed is absolutely terrifying. It seems that her greatest battle was not against the Roman Empire, but against her own biology. But here is the catch. The clues have been hiding in plain sight for 2,000 years. You just have to know where to look. For 2,000 years, the sands of Egypt have held on to one specific secret, a secret that has baffled historians and treasure hunters for centuries. We are talking about the final resting place of the last pharaoh, Queen Cleopatra.
This remains has the possibility of being the lost tomb of Cleopatra.
Usually, most experts will tell you she is gone. They say she is buried under the modern streets of Alexandria, lost forever to earthquakes and rising tides. But for the last 20 years, one woman dared to say they were all wrong. That woman is Kathleen Martinez. She is not your typical academic in a tweed jacket. She is a criminal lawyer turned archaeologist from the Dominican Republic. And she did not approach this like a history lesson. She approached it like a cold case investigation. She treated the disappearance like a crime scene that needed to be deciphered. While everyone was looking left, Martinez looked right. Her profile of the suspect led her 30 miles west of Alexandria to a forgotten crumbling temple called Taposiris Magna. And in 2022, the ground beneath her feet finally revealed a massive anomaly. Martinez and her team smashed through the limestone and found something that simply should not exist. A tunnel. But not just any tunnel. This thing is a shocking replica of a legendary design. It is carved through solid bedrock, stretching over 4,300 feet. That is nearly a mile long. It is 6 feet high, submerged in mud and water, and it heads straight out toward the Mediterranean Sea. Architects are calling it a geometric miracle. It is an engineering masterpiece that matches the legendary ancient Greek tunnel of Eupalinos. But here is the million-dollar question. Why go to this extreme? Why tunnel 40 feet underground into unstable, dangerous rock? You do not build a mile-long aqueduct for a minor site. This implies massive importance. The discovery of a sunken port off the coast suggests this was not just a remote temple, it was a hub. And Martinez believes this tunnel leads to the end of the line. Martinez's theory is terrifyingly simple. Cleopatra was not just hiding from her end, she was hiding from Rome. She was hiding from the humiliation of being paraded in chains through the streets. She wanted to be buried with her partner, Mark Antony. She wanted to be immortalized as the living embodiment of the goddess Isis. And to do that, she needed a tomb that could never ever be touched by her enemies. She buried herself where she thought no one would ever look. Kathleen Martinez may have found the front door to that sanctuary. And while we have not found the queen yet, the evidence we have uncovered points to a dark truth. What they found inside the mouths of the dead changed everything and proved that something very strange was happening at this site. Finding a massive tunnel is a big deal, but the real mystery was what they found in the mouths of the dead mummies. A silent witnesses with golden tongues. Inside the complex, the team made another discovery that sent shivers down their spines and made them realize they were standing in a place of deep magic. Buried in 16 rock-cut tombs were mummies. But these were not ordinary burials. When the archaeologists peered into the crumbling faces of the dead, they saw something glittering in the darkness. Gold. Inside their mouths, where their tongues should have been, were amulets made of gold foil.
Found more ancient mummies from Egypt that actually have golden tongue.
The ancient Egyptians believed that to survive the afterlife, you had to speak to Osiris, the lord of the underworld. You had to plead your case. A golden tongue gives the power to speak to a god. It grants what is called golden eloquence. But here is the catch. Why are they here? Why at this specific temple? Martinez believes these were not just random rich people. They were Cleopatra's people, her inner circle, her courtiers. They were buried here, equipped with the magic to speak to Osiris, perhaps to announce the arrival of their queen. Think about what that means. We are not just digging through a graveyard. We are standing in a royal reception hall. We are in her city of the dead. And if the courtiers are here waiting for their queen, then the door is about to open. Despite the discovery, she is inches away from the queen's DNA. But while we wait for her to break the final seal, we already have a key to Cleopatra's genetic code. Or at least we thought we did. To see Cleopatra's face, we do not need to wait for the tunnel. We just need to look at the bones of the sister she removed from the board. To understand the dead found at Taposiris Magna, we first have to understand the ruthlessness of the woman they served. History remembers her as a charmer, but her family tree was more like a shark tank. And her biggest threat was not a Roman general. It was her own little sister, Arsinoe IV. This was a relationship defined by pure toxic ambition. When the queen was exiled, it was Arsinoe who took the throne. When Julius Caesar arrived in Egypt, it was Arsinoe who led the army against him. She was a warrior princess who actually managed to trap Caesar in the palace for months. But history is written by the winners. Arsinoe was eventually captured, dragged to Rome, and forced to march in chains. The Roman crowds actually cried for her because she was just a teenage girl in shackles. That sympathy saved her life for a while, and she was exiled to the Temple of Artemis in Ephesus, in modern-day Turkey. She thought she was safe. She thought the holy ground would protect her. She was wrong. In 41, before the Common Era, Cleopatra persuaded Mark Antony to do the unthinkable. He sent people to the temple steps. They dragged Arsinoe out and ended her life right there. It was a scandal that rocked the ancient world. But for us, 2,000 years later, it provided a location. We knew exactly where the crime occurred. For centuries, we thought she was lost to history. Until the 1900s, when archaeologists in Ephesus found a unique tomb known as the Octagon. Inside was a skeleton. The bones belonged to a young person. If their theory was correct, this might just be the remains of the sister. The timeline fits, the location fits, the age fits. If this was her, we had the genetic code, and we could finally answer the questions about her health and her lineage.
Cleopatra has an enduring fascination for us because her story embodies power and beauty.
We had the map to the queen's biology, but then science stepped in and revealed a truth that was much harder to swallow. The golden tongues promised a gateway to the gods, yet the bones of a hunted princess reveal a secret that scientists never expected. The royal secret, hiding in a Turkish tomb. For years, the skeleton in Ephesus was our only mirror to the queen's face. Scholars looked at those bones and saw a sister. They saw African heritage. They saw the answer to a centuries-old riddle. But recently, modern technology took a second look, and the mirror cracked in a way that left everyone speechless. The breakthrough happened in 2022. A team from the University of Vienna finally located the long-lost skull in the university archives. It had been sitting there unnoticed for decades. This was the game changer. They did not just look at it, they saw through it. Using microscans, they created a high-resolution digital map of the bone structure, and they drilled into the densest part of the skull. This is a biological safe that preserves DNA even when the rest of the skeleton has turned to dust. In January 2025, the results were published, and they revealed a medical horror story. The skeleton is not the sister. It is not a 20-year-old woman. It is not an African princess. The DNA proved the presence of a Y chromosome. The sister of Cleopatra is a boy, specifically an adolescent boy between 11 and 14 years old. And get this, he was not just young. He was suffering. The scans revealed severe developmental disorders. His jaw was stunted. His skull was asymmetrical and twisted. The analysis suggests he suffered from severe bone issues or a genetic syndrome that changes the face. This was not a healthy royal rival. This was a child with a face that had been misshapen by genetic tragedy. Even more shocking was that his DNA tells us he was not from Egypt. His genetic markers trace back to Italy or Sardinia. This opens up a darker, more confusing mystery. We thought we were looking at the victim of a political move. Instead, we are looking at a tragedy of a different kind. The octagon turned out to be a tomb built for a hero. Why was a deformed, sickly Italian boy buried in one of the most prestigious tombs in the ancient world? Was he a sacrifice? Or was he a hidden royal child whose existence was so dangerous that he had to be buried with honors but far away from home? Whatever the answer is, it turns out that the scientific proof of the queen's lineage in this specific tomb was an illusion caused by wishful thinking. So, where does that leave us? We are back to the historical record. And the record tells us that she was the product of a dynasty that stayed within itself. And if you want to know what she really looked like, you do not need to find her body. You just need to look at the terrifying family tree she climbed to get to the throne, because her family tree did not branch out at all. Science proved the royal skeleton was not who we thought, leading us straight into the dark reality of a family that refused to let anyone else in. The family tree that became a circle. The boy in Ephesus might have been a secret, but in Alexandria, the genetic nightmare was a matter of royal policy. Most family trees expand outward like a funnel opening to the world, but the Ptolemaic line collapsed in on itself. To keep their bloodline pure and power absolute, this Greek dynasty practiced a closed-loop system of marriage. Cleopatra was not merely the product of cousins, she was the result of generations of siblings marrying siblings. Geneticists estimate her inbreeding level at over 45%. To put that in perspective, consider Charles II of Spain. He was a medical tragedy, unable to speak until 4 or walk until 8, with an inbreeding level of 25%. Cleopatra was nearly double that. Biologically, she should have been a disaster. DNA is meant to be a corrective conversation between two parents, where one's strength masks the other's flaw. In Cleopatra's case, there was no conversation, only a repetitive echo of genetic errors. Yet, history describes a brilliant polyglot who charmed the masters of Rome. This is the terrifying paradox. Was she a miracle, or have we misread the signs of her suffering? Her ancestors, such as the morbidly obese Ptolemy VIII, showed clear markers of autoimmune disorders, including bulging eyes and swollen necks. The boundless vitality historians praise might actually have been a thyroid storm, a state of hyperstimulation that causes manic energy and rapid speech. Her legend was not built on health, but on a broken code. If she was living with the chronic pain of pedigree collapse, she survived through the royal pharmacy. Egypt was the pharmaceutical capital of the ancient world, and Cleopatra was its most elite chemist. She likely used opium to numb the ache in her compromised joints, and blue lotus to quiet the tremors of her mania. Her research into cosmetics was not an act of vanity, but of camouflage. She used makeup to reshape prominent eyes and elaborate jewelry to hide a swollen neck, acting as the world's first biohacker to project the image of a living goddess. The ongoing search for her tomb is more than a quest for gold. It is a search for a medical archive. We may find a woman who was petite and frail, hiding her agony behind a mask. When that chamber is finally opened, we will likely find that the reality of the last pharaoh is far more complex and far more human than the myth. If they open the tomb tomorrow and find out Cleopatra looked like a medical tragedy, does that make her story more impressive? Tell me your theory and subscribe for more mysteries.